Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Shawn Weiss, founder of Balanced Functional Wellness, doctor of physical therapy, and I am really excited to be bringing this information session to you today with my colleague, grad school roommate, and longtime friend, Dr. Erin Luecke, who is also a doctor of physical therapy. We have both been practicing for, gosh, Erin, nearly 26 years, if you can believe that. And um, now that we've become colleagues, it's almost full circle, but this is going to be an excellent session. And we're going to talk about the endocannabinoid system today, the hemp plant, CBD, um, you know, shed some light on some myths and misconceptions. And Erin is just so well versed in this, and she's been knowledge is power, and she's been a great source for me as I learn about this system. And I'm going to have her do a lot of description on what it is, because I can tell you, if I went to even any of my clinical colleagues, most of them would not really know anything about the endocannabinoid system. Are you finding that too, Erin? And welcome, Erin, to the summit here. It's kind of like a summit information session. And I would love it first, though. Let's back up, because I want everybody to know about you, because you are such a wonderful human being and just a great resource of mine. And why don't you tell everybody a little bit about you and your story and how you came to be in this space?
Okay, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited that we're able to do this and share this information that's very, very important to me, and I'm passionate about it. And I've found that there's such a disconnect, excuse me, between this information and the people and the hands and the ears that need to hear it. And not just talking about in the clinical realm, but it's in everyday life. And so I'll give a little bit of a background. And I had about 4 years ago, I was in a very, very compromised state. I was burning candles at both ends. I'm sure there's a lot of people that can relate. I am a single, busy mom of 3 kids. I work full time. I'm a business owner. And I was just, my health and wellness was more about pouring out into people, which I love to do, but it was something that I wasn't spending the time really focusing on myself. And what I found over that year or two, back in about 2019, was that I was tired, run down. I was sleeping, but very little hours. I began to get gut disturbance. I started to get a lot of issues with my stomach. I was getting brain fog, fatigue. And in the afternoon, when I was trying to do my clinical documentation, I found myself nodding off. And I really sometimes felt like I was even 6 months pregnant. And I said, something is not right. And, sometimes we tend to, in this field, we tend to dive into like, oh my gosh, what's wrong? Because we sometimes know too much to be dangerous.
Exactly.
But I thought something's not right. I got a brain MRI. I got a CAT scan of my stomach because I do have a history of cancer in my family. So I was trying to be proactive. And when the results came back, there was nothing. And I was like, okay, I'm so glad that that was the case. I was relieved, but I also was like, okay, now what? What's the deal? And so fast forward about 6 months later, I was introduced to a wonderful holistic doctor, and she presented me with some options. And I basically wound up purchasing some products that I felt would enhance my wellness journey. And one of them was CBD. And I'm going to take you a little bit back here. I grew up not the only thing I knew about that was that I knew about THC. I knew it got people high. I knew people did it for many different reasons, but a lot of times to get high, that was just the thing to do. And it was never something that was discussed with me as a kid. It was never something that was even discussed with me from my friends in high school. I mean, these were some of my closest friends, but I never asked about what it did, aside from knowing that, the high aspect. And, throughout my life, I had a stigma about it. I had a stigma that, I just, again, knowledge is power, and I didn't know. And so when I started using it and I was being guided on that, the CBD, for bringing a sense of wellness into my body, I was seeing such a difference. I know I not only worked on my gut health, which was hands down one of the most important things I ever could have done for myself at that time, but then having people around me educate me on the power of CBD. And so I was seeing the effects and the benefits in my own body. And I dove into research. I dove into reading books. I dove into surrounding myself with people who had been on that journey far longer than I had, were experts in the field. And I learned so much. And there was a period of time that I was driving home from one of our corporate conventions, and I became extremely emotional because the more that I talked about and thought about my journey with cannabis, I couldn't believe that I had spent so many years denying our patients, our family, friends, and those people who needed it the most, denying them the opportunity for me to educate them and bring them the information like somebody brought me. And I said, I will never not be a voice. I will never not foster communication and the conversation, those conscious communication and conversations that we can have with the people that we care about the most and are trying to help, ever again. And so here I am, and I love to dive into some of the basics here today, because it is something that, I'm not here to answer every single question, but I'm here to make sure that you know exactly where to go and find it, and to continue to take you on a journey to self-discover how your body can be greatly impacted from the plant.
And that is, what's really cool about that, Erin, is just like the testimonial. And that's when we hear people like the testimonials are very powerful. And, everybody in our field, I know we have to be lifelong learners. And if you go back, 26 years to when we were in grad school, this was not even on the radar.
Yeah.
And it's, again, I grew up the same way as you. I really it wasn't even talked about really in my circle of friends or family. So I had very little exposure to that. And, as we started practicing, and like I said, it's probably just within the last 5 or 7 years that I've become much more aware of what the endocannabinoid system is, but that's really in the last year. And just CBD in general and optimal health, and just having it in the toolbox, having it as an option, and wanting people to just understand fully, because to me, again, knowledge is power. And if you really understand your body and you really understand the options, you're going to make the best informed choice for yourself, because everybody is different. So that is fantastic. And I love the testimonial. So let's dive into what exactly and what the heck is the endocannabinoid system that, 1988 was really when they
Yeah.
started really learning about um, the power and the regulatory components of this system, right? So,
Right.
consistent regulatory homeostasis, it helps balance our body. But speak a little bit about this, and let's learn. I'm excited.
Okay. So like you said, the endocannabinoid system was first discovered back in 1988. And it was something that had been studied and then uncovered. And the discovery of that was the single most important scientific medical discovery since the sterilization method years ago. And the endocannabinoid system is the master control of virtually all of our physiology. And how I like to tie it all in is that there's the orchestra, and our orchestra is conducted by a conductor, right? And so the conductor is the endocannabinoid system, and all the receptors are its participants. And
Perfect.
I'm here, I got the screen here. So this system is within all of us, and it's the most hidden gem I believe, out there in guiding the homeostasis or balance that we all crave and need within our own bodies. And so it's, if you see the screen here, there's multiple receptors all throughout our bodies, the brain, the spinal cord, all the organs. And the CB1 receptors are the brain, spinal cord, and all the nervous system parts, right? And then the CB2 receptors are the organs and all the cells that make up how we function with our immune system. And of course, we know that when our immune system is compromised, it can lead to dis-ease or disease. And so the thing that is the most important part of the endocannabinoid system is that the goal is for optimal balance no matter what we go through in life, whether it's what we have in the environment, what we have in our food, because we know those two things are extremely toxic and not like it ever has been before. We have a lot of stuff in our food that can cause our bodies to become unbalanced. We have things in the environment, our air, our water, toxins. And then we have just day-to-day stress. And so we are all, going through life in many different stress layers. But
That's the truth.
whether we know it or not, you go through your life and you might not have anxiety symptoms or some depressive like symptoms, but as you go through your day, there is different pieces that are tying into you're being pulled in many different directions. So what I love most and what makes me so comforted to know is that this system wants us to thrive. This system wants us to be healthy, and this system wants us to not be dealing with disease ever. And so it's our responsibility to know how to feed it. We have endocannabinoids, which are the cannabinoids within our bodies, and then there's phytocannabinoids, which are the plant. And the plant, those little receptors actually crave what the plant can provide, and it craves what and how we build up our endocannabinoids inside, like working out, that boosts the cannabinoids, that feeds the endocannabinoid system. So I think knowing that we can really be empowered to learn how we need to feed our endocannabinoid system. And when we don't feed it, it's endocannabinoid deficient. So some of the symptoms that you might have of endocannabinoid deficiency, again, everything that I spoke about earlier. And so then there's many different reasons why. And I think it's important to know that if you're doing the things you're supposed to be doing that are bringing balance to your body, when you have something else going on, don't ignore it. Don't say, well, this is just something, maybe I just need to take, eat this type of food or take this supplement or take this medication. You don't want to ignore chronic progressive symptoms that could potentially be something, a red flag. And I think as clinicians, as PTs, we're not here to diagnose, treat, or, in that respect, but we are here to point out red flags, differentially diagnose, and to alert the clinicians to be able to get that ball moving forward so we don't, we're a little bit more proactive.
Right. And our job too, and holistically, and I think as therapists, I think by nature, we practice holistically. Most therapists are that way. We always do that. I don't just treat the shoulder. I don't just treat the back. Right. So I think it comes very naturally for us to do that and to dig a little bit deeper into individual situations. I think also what's important, Erin, too, with this being a regulator with the central nervous system, and it's the peripheral nervous system as well, correct?
Yes.
Right. And then in terms of the cells in our body, so as we talked about the toxins in the environment, the highly over-processed food and diet that we seem to have in America, especially the standard American diet, it's sad, right? We always say that. But when you have things that are leaking into the bloodstream and getting onto these cells, right? And the receptors are on the outside of the cell and they're binding, right?
They're binding and they're going in and they are affecting the nucleus and that whole makeup of the whole entire cell. They're binding to that receptor and affecting that physiologically.
Okay, so in terms of what they have discovered as since 1988. And I know there's just more and more information coming about that. I know the National Institute of Health has, several functions that they list as, the endocannabinoid system helping regulate. And what
Mhm.
what what are some of the things that we know now that this system helps regulate?
Your mood, the learning and memory of our brain, cardiovascular function, muscle function, bone formation, because we know that there's different factors, gut health related, that actually affect bone, our bone level and the destruction of bone as we get older.
Especially going through menopause, right? And we're already
Oh,
losing bone
absolutely.
density. Yep.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Your liver function and your skin and all the basic organs that make up and help us function on a day-to-day basis.
Now, did you have any skin issues
I
when you
did.
were going through all of that? Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
I've heard,
I
yeah,
had some eczema. I have a level of that, and when my food is not in check, my stress level is high, I tend to get a little bit more of that. And I also found that I had some thinning, and I do have a lot of hair, but I found that during that
I
time
know
of
you're
my
lucky.
life that I had, I would see just a little bit more thinning of my hair, and then also the dark circles under my eyes. And so and then joint pain, it really, during that period of time, I had a lot of joint pain. And so that's something that I have really found that in our line of work, we treat people every day. And what happens is the chronic pain, the opioid use, prior to having joint replacements, a lot of our patients are taking mass amounts of Tylenol and
Mm-hmm.
Advil, and it's affecting their liver functions, their liver enzymes. So, it is so important. And I had a patient that one of the things that he was taking and was CBD, and he said that was the one thing that made me feel like I could still feel alive. He said, I had been on opioids for so long, I felt like I was living in a shell of a person, and this helped him get his life back. And so when you hear stories like that, and it's just one of so many, because there's so much anecdotal, which anecdotal research is the research that we get from people, testimonials, people have been using
Mm-hmm.
it, and you see how it's affected everybody's life, because the scientific research is still playing catch up. We're so behind on the scientific research. Now
Mm-hmm.
there's so much, but it'll take years before a lot of that is published. There's still tons that are published, and it's important to read that. But the anecdotal research is something that is so important right now. So
Yeah, and we see more and more patients that are, using that, especially in the patient population that I deal with, even with seniors over 65. And
mhm.
it's so important as clinicians that we understand that, because we are seeing that more and more. And we want to be able to educate in terms of, you know, what to look for in terms of purity and testing and things like that. Because I have a lot of patients that are on CBD, and especially maybe for optimal health, but that have testimonials to me of how it's changed their life. So it's so important that we are able as clinicians to educate. And like I said, friends, family, they're all curious. They all want to know, because they're looking for non-pharmacological, non-prescription based things to just optimize their health. It needs to be part of the toolbox. So I want to, and I get a lot of questions, and I the hemp plant itself, CBD, and I really want you to speak a little bit about some of the misconceptions of CBD and broad spectrum, full spectrum. Can we go into a little bit of
Mhm.
that now that we know a little
Yes.
bit about the system itself and the regulatory system, about what types of things we can do?
Yes, absolutely. The stigma and the misconception. So I want to start off right now that if with the listeners that are going to be hearing this and being able to learn about this wonderful topic, just right now, clean slate, wipe out any misconception, anything that you heard, and just it's a fresh slate for everybody, just to open their mind up to something that could potentially be life altering for somebody, to provide so much value in someone's life, whether it's you yourself or but still being able to share it and have that conversation. So I'm going to try to debunk some of those things right now.
Mhm.
And I have some great slides to be able to differentiate the two. But the biggest thing is when I mention CBD to somebody, often I hear, all right, so yeah, we're going to get high. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
CBD does not get you high. And so I'm going to fast forward, if I may, to this next slide, the full versus broad spectrum. So the so basically, the hemp plant has been used for thousands and thousands of years for anything from clothing to being able to be used in the industrial field. Okay, so this is not something that's new. The hemp plant is magic, grows from the earth, but within the hemp plant there are hundreds and hundreds of cannabinoids. These little cannabinoids that are throughout the whole entire plant. You're looking at one of the hemp plants. There is magic within that plant. And so the full spectrum on the left and the broad spectrum on the right, there is absolutely no THC detected in the broad spectrum. THC is another cannabinoid. So as you see here, that the broad spectrum, these are just some of the cannabinoids that have been uncovered, and there's still many that we have not uncovered. And that's just a little teaser for what's to come, and we'll talk about that later. But as you see, the THC is left out. It's extracted out of the plant. And so that is 0.0 THC. So when you're taking a broad spectrum product, you do not get any THC. What the full spectrum is the same exact thing as the broad spectrum, but they do not extract that part. They do have the THC. However, it's below the legal limit of 0.3. And it's still, you are not getting a high from
High.
that. It's
Mhm.
usually less, when we test in the hospital for cannabinoids to test to see if someone is taking marijuana, it's usually greater than 50. It's a level that they use in the hospital to do the toxicology report. Usually with hemp, my understanding, the levels come back around 13. So it's greatly different. And they know it's hemp derived versus, just strict THC from
Mhm.
the bud. So I think that's really important to understand the difference in the compounds of that. And as you see here too, there's THC, CBD, CBG, CBC, CBN, and terpenes. And so we'll get into a little bit of that coming up with that. And because I want to definitely tie in a little bit about what different functions each one of those does. But do you want me to go into that now a little bit
Well,
with
I
that?
think, just the benefits from just this slide alone, because if you
Yeah.
look at now, maybe go back 10, 15 years when people were starting to get CBD products and not really know. I mean, this definition here, I know a lot of people that don't know the difference, right? So when you're looking at products and you're looking at what is it labeled as, a broad spectrum or a full spectrum. So this is a great starting point. So um, go into, yeah, let's move to the next piece to where we're now going, okay, we got full and broad spectrum. But what's really important now, as things have evolved and we have the research and we have the technology of understanding that not all products are the same. Going through the drive-through or the gas station to get
Mhm.
CBD gummies or whatever it is that they have on the shelf is certainly not the same. And it's really important to know what is in your products, what could be toxic in your products, and where it is sourced. Correct. So this I find is the most fascinating piece of understanding the science behind how we get what we get on the market.
This is one of my favorite things to talk
Yeah.
about because it hands down, it's going to dictate how your journey is when you use and choose. But I'm going to just real briefly, before we do go into this, the way it's sourced and the way it's grown, I want to go into CBD sales because we do see it's just astronomical the way it's blowing up. But I want people to be really, really conscious of this piece because we are only just beginning this whole wellness journey with integrating this into people's health and wellness routine. In 4.6 billion people in 2020 we're using CBD. And
Amazing.
in terms of sale, like sales,
Hmm.
in terms of
Hmm.
sales. And in 2 years, there was the Farm Bill was passed in 2018, which means that they could not criminalize CBD. The DEA could not criminalize CBD that was hemp derived. And so 5.3 billion in sales in 2021. 15 billion is projected in sales in 2024 this year.
Wow.
And then 20 billion in sales is projected for 2025. So even more now. Okay, so we are seeing more people that either are learning about it, using it, seeing the benefits of it, but then where are they getting it, right?
This is why this is so important.
This
And
is the
it's just like,
most important piece.
hmm,
Yeah,
absolutely
most
is.
important piece. So when you are looking for a product, just say that you just want to take it and have, for your wellness journey, or you actually want to take it because there are many different, this is why getting hooked that really is knowledgeable, that can guide people through different conditions, because every condition is different, every person is different. I have a 300-pound person that has used CBD that takes maybe 2 or 3 drops, and a 100-pound person that takes a half a dropper full. It makes no difference in how the size of the person, men or male or female. Everybody's endocannabinoid system is a little bit different, even though we all have one. And it's like your fingerprint. We're all
Hmm.
different in our fingerprint, but we all have one, right? And
Right.
so the thing is like, okay, so when you're looking for a place to get your CBD, what's really, really important is, where did it come from? Okay, so farming, there's growers around the United States. Where is it grown? Okay, really, really important to know that it's grown in the United States. How is it dried? How is it manufactured? Is it FDA compliant? And the testing, there's different ways to extract the CBD and the different cannabinoids from the plant. And it's really important on how that's done. CO2 extraction methods, there's crystallization extraction methods, and then there's also extraction methods that don't necessarily pull out all the toxins in that plant. And that's, back down here to the extraction method, it's really important to know, and it's really is a science of extraction, right?
Hmm.
And so you don't want to have anything that's an alcohol extraction method, ethanol extraction method, the temperature, really, really important. Some are heated, some are not. Like CBD is heated extraction method, the CO2 extraction method. CBDA, which is another cannabinoid, is a crystallization extraction method that actually the HempWorks does to take that and make that product. And so minimal ingredients. So there's many different, when you get your bottle of the CBD, you might see MCT oil, coconut oil. You want to make sure that there are minimal ingredients. There's CBD, hemp seed, and any distilled flavor. That's it. Okay, so anything with like 5, 6 different ingredients, it's diluting it. It's diluting it. So a lot of people need to get more and take more,
Hmm.
because they're not getting the full benefit from just those ingredients. And then organic, how is it? Is it non-GMO? Is it organic? Is it synthetic? This is something new that I learned over the last few years, is that the hemp plant is super absorbent. So anything in the soil that it's grown in, mold, pesticide, you have to make sure it's mold and pesticide free. When you're getting, a lot of people get their CBD products and have no idea where it's grown and the soil that it was grown in. And so hands down, the most important thing, even before the extraction method, is the soil that it comes from. And so that's called transparency, right? And you and I were talking about that before we
Yep.
hopped on here, is that it is so important to have the company that you get it from be transparent. COA, certificate of analysis, hemp seal of approval. What's really important is knowing that, and I don't know if you guys can see it, but there is a little circle with an H on here, and that is the hemp seal of approval. It takes a lot to get that put on a bottle, right?
And that's easy to look for.
Really easy
Yeah.
to look for. And then also there's a QR code that takes you directly to a COA extraction, how it's extracted and all the things they test for. And so the rigorous lab testing that's done, the third party testing sheet, if it's not on the bottle, then it's really important to make sure that you call the company and ask for it. But it's the amount of things they test for is upward of like 60. I mean, there's so many things that they test for, and it should say pass, pass. And then also what you're getting, like the product you're getting, the CBD that you're getting, you want to know exactly if it's saying it has this much CBD or CBG in it,
Mhm.
you want to know that you actually are getting that.
Getting that much.
Because a lot of times you're not. And you can go down to the gas station, you can go down to a dispensary, but a lot of the dispensaries use different farms. And again, I'm not here I mean, because people need to get it from somewhere, right?
Right.
It's they get it from a farm, might be on sale, they might get their product and then they go ahead and they brand it the way that they need to brand it. And so it's a very different way of doing it. And so that's why we're just here to educate on what to look for, whether you get it from A, B, or C. We want to make sure that where
Right.
you're getting it from, you know exactly the questions to ask when you go in and look for that product. So
Perfect. I love that. In terms of types of products, I know people that use the oil, but everything you buy, whether that's the oil, whether that might be a gummy or something else, everything or creams, they should all have that seal of approval. Is that correct?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
What are some of the other types of products that what are you finding most, that you're seeing the most of right now?
I think CBD is, I mean, a lot of people now are vaping the marijuana, which we know, in right now, I think that the younger population is definitely using that more than ever now,
Mhm.
and for many different reasons. And we won't get into that here, but
Yeah.
it's a big toll. There's a lot of pulls from, with these kids. So I think that that's something, outside of what exactly we're talking about for our population, that we're speaking to. It's the THC, because people just want to get really relaxed and they just don't want to feel stressed and anxious, right? But when it comes to a CBD product, I believe that the easiest ingestion is a tincture, because it's so readily absorbable sublingually and it
Mhm.
absorbs into the bloodstream through that blood-brain barrier, a lot quicker. And so the tinctures are huge, and the topicals, we see a lot of people with
Mhm.
just that either use different topical analgesics,
My mom
Vitaфreeze,
uses a
acetone.
topical. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. And so people use a lot of the CBD relief cream. And the gummies are, whether it's just CBD or the different deltas like Delta 8, 9, and 10, that do have that THC and higher levels of THC. I see that, but most people that I see in the clinic are doing the relief, just something topically, and then also the sublingual, because it acts so fast.
What are the sprays, Erin? I see those too.
So there's water
Is that the
soluble.
same? Okay.
Yep, those are water soluble, and that's a rapid absorption too. It's microionized. And so that, again, fast acting, because we don't want something to take a long time. However, and that's something that I do want to touch upon because it's really important. But yeah, there's microionized sprays that people can put underneath their tongue. And there's also roll-ons that have like the CBN and CBG in it, which are very great for skin conditions and anti-inflammatory properties. And then also just the pre-roll, like joints that people smoke. It also
Mhm.
comes in the smokable form. And then also there's different companies that also put the CBD into like coffees
Mhm.
or beverages, which is definitely an upcoming thing. A lot of people just don't want to drink alcohol. They
Right.
they want
Mhm.
some of those feelings of just relaxation and enjoying just that peacefulness, but they don't want to drink. So I think that's, really brilliant. But again, no matter how you get it and what form you take it in, it's are these things. So please, you guys, write these down. take a screenshot and just, again, reach out to us if you have questions about this. But hands down, before you even remotely think of getting and opening yourself up to taking it, referring people to different products, if you're a clinician or friends or family, this right here is the foundation of
Yeah, this
making
is gold
that.
right here. This is
Yeah.
excellent information. And can I ask you something else, Erin, too? So I know that I am using a hemp dog treat, and I have even a stepdaughter who is in the field of pet care and organic and hemp products as well. So I do use a hemp dog treat for one of my dogs who is a little bit, needs a little bit of chill in them, right?
Yeah.
And I know it's becoming really, really popular. Do they still have the same standards with the pet products as they do with the human products?
Yes, yes, we do. And the thing with the animals, especially dogs, is that they have more endocannabinoids than we do. So it's
Interesting.
very, very different dosage based on the weight of the dog and the different, there's some companies which we'll talk about in a minute that have different tinctures for different things for pets, but ultimately it's providing optimal wellness in our pets' life. Because especially as they get older, a lot of our pets are put on pharmaceuticals to help with joint pain, end of life,
Mhm.
just calming them down. My dog, she's almost 8. She gets pretty high anxiety during storms. So we had actually started her on a pet tincture a few years ago. And when I took her to the veterinarian, the vet was just saying, well, she's almost 8. Maybe we should put her on one of these pharmaceuticals to help with her joints. And she asked and I said, well, she actually is taking this tincture for her overall health, her gut health, and just
Mhm.
overall relaxation and really providing optimal wellness in her life. But we do have a joint tincture that has the chondroitin and the glucosamine in it. And she was like, oh, this is great because those are the things we need for joint health. So but again, you want to choose the product that has the least amount of ingredients and you're getting a pure product and it has the hemp seal of approval and a third party COA testing sheet is really important. And the one thing about dogs that I learned too is that if people are smoking the bud or they're smoking
Mhm.
actual THC, that's when it becomes toxic to dogs because their bodies do not process the high levels of cannabinoids in it. And so it's really, really important when it comes to that to keep it
Is
out of
that
and
flower or
the flower.
vapes?
Yeah, I
Not
mean, I
vapes?
don't think I'm not really sure about
Hmm.
the vape
It's
in terms of
interesting.
like going into the air per se.
Hmm.
I think it would, but definitely when they ingest it, just like they would if they
Yeah.
ingested something like chocolate, it could be very toxic to them. Not that
Okay.
it's a bad thing, but the quantity of like what people take versus the dog or cat take is very different. So,
Okay, go.
yeah.
That's good to know. And I did not know that. So you know, what I was thinking about is in terms of products, and I look at people like, my mom who is using a topical product that she likes. And then I have friends and family who, I have medical cards, right? So they are getting medical prescriptions for THC. But I often hear, and I want you to start talking a little bit about products, is that they really don't want the high piece, right? But they don't know where to look. They don't know where to go. And like I said, I think it's so important that you said hook yourself up with somebody who's more knowledgeable than you, ask the right
Yeah.
questions, know where you can find great sourced products. So what's the next slide, Erin? So I know we talked about before we hopped on here, talking about the sourcing and talking about how we need to look for those seals of approval. And then what else can we educate everybody on?
One of the things that I get a lot of questions about is, especially when people start to take a certain product, and this is something that I think is really important aside from the sourcing, is your body is not like somebody else's. And
Mhm.
so when you get your product, what I find from the medical, and I'm glad that there's medical dispensaries out there and people can get access to that. However, what I'm finding from people who do have their card is that once they go, they get their product, they go to get it, and then they're on their own. They don't have somebody there to answer their questions, to guide them through the process of knowing, is this normal? Is this not? This is what I need it for. Maybe they're taking it, but then need some other factors that are involved in the success of taking it, and they need guidance. And so we're here to guide, we're here to educate and guide and take them through that process. And when people, there are some people that can instantly take the tincture and instantly feel better, but it could take up to 90 days for your
Good point.
endocannabinoid system to take the phytocannabinoids and have the body balance itself and to regulate itself. And there's many different factors. You can take it, but then if you have external factors that you're still not taking control of, it could be a little bit longer. And so everybody's bodies are, the level of sensitivity could be a little bit different. And that's what I said, man, woman, age, and the weight of somebody makes, I mean, maybe I don't, could be speaking incorrectly here, but I've found over the last few years of guiding people through it that it's not something that I find is a one-stop shop for people. I think that everybody's different. And so don't expect just like this, woo, I feel so different. Usually with THC, you will instantly feel that because it acts differently. But when it comes to CBD, for just using it as an everyday into your wellness routine, as like any other thing that you use, it could take a little while. So be patient, start low, start slow, because if you start too high, like if you take a dropper, I'm actually going to get this out here. If you take a dropper and you start with, a whole entire dropper full, right? Your body might not need that. You might, and what I love most about the tincture is that you can microdose this. You could take 2 drops and start with 2 drops. And then a couple days later, I usually tell people to maybe take a couple more drops every 3 to 4 days. And this gets excreted through the urine. So I believe one of our educators, about 1,600 milligrams per day. I mean, you're not going to do that, but it's like you can have a lot. And
Yeah.
whatever your body doesn't need, it just gets
Just gonna,
through the
it's gonna
urine.
flush it out anyway.
Exactly. But what I love most about this is the ability to not only microdose it, is you can keep this with you. And then also I love the sprays because and we'll go into a little bit more detail about the products, but it's something you might be out, you might be at work, you might need something, you might start
Very
to feel a
simple.
certain way. And as soon as you start, because I do that, I'll just give you an example. I'm at work, seeing a lot of patients, have to document being pulled in this direction or that direction. And you're going and you're going and you're like fight or flight, fight or flight. And so I might take like a quarter of a dropper full, because I know that if I'm getting stressed and my level and my endocannabinoid system is trying to go, okay, that role is supposed to balance. I'm supposed to balance Erin. I'm supposed to balance her, and I'm not allowing it to do its job. And I take it. And so because I don't want anything to mess with any chance that my body would be so dysregulated that I might get sick. And our
Right.
family has been doing this for over 2 years, and it's just something a little bit more compliant on my end, but it's something that I do believe it's one of the very reasons why we have stayed so healthy through the last few years. And
That's
so
awesome.
I feel really, really grateful for that. But that's something to know, is just be patient and trust the process. Look
And then
up
have resources.
and have resources, and
Hmm.
just, look up the endocannabinoid system. There's so much information on it.
Hmm.
And not only just from our Mr. Google friend, but also going to PubMed, going into just endocannabinoid research.
Yeah.
And we can, when we do post this, we can put a couple snapshots of a couple books and a couple links to a couple wonderful people on Instagram that are medical doctors that have committed their whole life to making sure that that this is brought to people in a light that is positive, not something that's a negative thing, because the more we share, even if one person shares with one person and educates them, not to be an expert, but to have that conversation, we are
Right.
moving this movement forward, and we're being in a voice in a way that is so needed in right now and for years to come. And
It's the
so,
conversation, and it's all about the conversation to me,
yeah,
and feeling okay about talking about it. And I think you're seeing that more and more.
definitely.
As and then we have, 420, April 20th coming up too. So
Hmm.
you're hearing lots of different things. Um,
Yeah.
do you have something to show us about like different options on products and what is all happening around the 420?
Yes. Yes. And we will go. And I just want to say this, like, um, you know, the natural power of the body to heal itself. And there's the last sentence on here is to provide effective solutions for everyday life.
Mhm.
And 2.5 years, I partnered with a company called My Daily Choice. And you've gotten to use the products. And I
Mhm.
think that when you were using them and seeing the effects of not only these products, but also just their wellness products and
Yeah.
how they are committed to the best and this most rigorously testing on all of their products, we can confidently share with the people that we know and love and our patients and people that we are connected with about this. And so that's why I just
Yeah, the
love talking about
marketplaces,
that.
to me, I'm just so impressed with the marketplace with My Daily Choice, simply because of how highly vetted all of the products and companies that they choose to partner with, and the variety. But just having that transparency to me as a clinician is super, super important, because if I'm going to be recommending um, people to come, I want to know, one, I want to have tried the product, and two, I want to know I know what's in it, and I want to
Mhm.
be very confident in that. So yeah,
Right.
this is exciting. Cool.
Yeah. So these are the tinctures, and there's 500, 750, and 1500.
And
I'm
there's
gonna,
full
I'm not
spectrum and broad spectrum.
full
Love
spectrum and
it.
broad spectrum. Yep.
Mhm.
And there's on the website, on the My Daily Choice website, you can go and every category is there, but they have product pages on everything, wonderful educational information. And and then if you don't have a question answered, we are here to answer them for you. They have soft gels. We have hemp coffee. This is actually one of my favorite products. It is, can get coffee anywhere, and I still do. I'm not saying that
Right.
I don't go get coffee anywhere else, but what I did not realize is that there is so, again, how coffee is grown and the soil it's grown in. That is another area where you want to be really careful, because if it's not grown in the soil and with the beans, you are getting that in your coffee. And so
And these
this
are
is a
whole beans,
very
right?
whole bean. So this is a sachet that you put
Okay,
in
perfect.
hot water, and it's actually got chaga mushroom in it as well. So you get
Yep.
high levels of antioxidants in this coffee. It's absolutely wonderful. And it's very easy, very quick, and it is so much cheaper than going to alternatives, which I won't name names,
Yes.
but
I know we don't want to name
super.
it.
My niece was so sweet. She made her own coffee, and I told her she just saved herself about $6.
I mean,
And
totally true.
yeah, just saved herself
Oh
$6.
my gosh.
So, and it's vegan, gluten-free, and keto, and it's wonderful. And no THC is detected. There's 5 milligrams of CBD in the coffee. These are gummies, and there's three different. There's the tropical, there's the orange, and there's wild cherry, and then you also have assorted. And these are 25 milligrams. There's no THC in these gummies.
I like the orange the
Wonderful.
best.
This is
That's my
great
personal one.
for kids. Yeah, they're delicious. And these kids can take a half a gummy, a full gummy, depending on, what they want to do. And again, you, when we deal with children, that's a whole nother conversation. And that I've got some people to educate on that when we go and do this again.
Mhm.
But ask the questions as parents, ask the questions, because of course we don't want to, there's a lot of stigma too about not
Yeah.
giving kids this, but understanding that they also have a cannabinoid system, and our kids were getting cannabinoids when, for those who breastfed, we all have cannabinoids in our breast milk, so they were getting the same thing. So
Mhm. Yeah. And then
it's
the important thing too is that there's no THC in those gummies.
no THC.
Mhm.
And so, and I don't think I have a slide for the THC gummies, and every state is different. There are some states that you cannot get the THC gummies, like the Delta 8, 9, and
The
10.
deltas. Hmm.
So when they're, you go onto the site and you try to get them, and they only come out, HempWorks only brings those back in small batches because they're so rigorously tested, and they are so they're potent in terms of, I wouldn't say, I mean, they are very strong, but what you get is what you get in them. So a lot
Hmm.
of people, go and get them ASAP when we release them a couple times a year. We usually never know when it comes around this time of year. The founder, Jenna Zwagel, she definitely releases things that she knows people have really wanted to come back, and she works with getting that into the hands of the people that really asked for that. So
Great.
just look to see if your state can get that. So
Hmm.
all right, so the pets.
There's the dog treats. Yes.
There's the dog treats. There's the CBD pet oil. And here are the two other ones. And it blows me away. People can go onto the HempWorks site and look at all the ingredients and what is in these pet tinctures. Hands down, I will never go a day without giving my dog some of that.
That's
And
awesome.
knowing that it benefits her. But like, I'm just going to go into a quick little detail about
Hmm.
the health. So here is the dog treats, and then the pet oil. And the pet oil has so many benefits, but 250 milligrams of CBD per bottle, no GMOs, fillers, or harmful ingredients, and it's bacon flavor. And then,
Love that.
yeah, I know. My dog
Bacon.
licks it right up. And then the CBD plus health, a lot of that, all dogs can take it, young or old, but the health pet tincture has the CBD, the CBG, which helps the energy levels, digestion, the health of the eyes, skin, and nails with those dogs. Helps with digestion, and it has a probiotic in it. And it's got mushroom powder, and which helps with longevity, and vitamin A, D, and E. So it helps with their muscle and bone health, which is phenomenal. And
Especially as
that's,
they get older.
yeah. And
Yeah.
that's where we can tie into the joint tincture, which my dog started about 2 months ago when we had that conversation with the vet. But it has 250 milligrams of CBD and CBG, which helps bone and joint health again. And this is also has the glucosamine and the chondroitin. So the older dogs really should lean more towards this product.
Hmm.
And it's wonderful. Our pets, a lot of people, just
They're,
really, they actually take better care of their pets sometimes than they do
yeah, they're
themselves.
family.
Their
Yes.
family, and it's wonderful. So how you would treat you want to be able to provide them with an enhancing thing for their wellness journey themselves.
Hmm.
And a couple of these, the relief cream. So let's go to the bottom right, the relief
Hmm.
cooling cream. That is the topical. It actually helps not only with inflammation, but it helps with actually bug bites, cuts, burns, that type of thing. It really soothes the skin, and it has
It's got
the
arnica in it, correct?
yes, the
Yes, I love
CBG
that.
in it as well. So I have a lot of athletes, a lot of patients who just have those joint aches and pains that they take this and they love it. So, all right, my favorite, my
I
absolute
know
favorite.
this is awesome. I love
And
this
I'm
part.
telling you, it is something that my whole family has used, and you don't need a lot of it. The hair care from HempWorks is hands down the most amazing smelling, amazing product that I have ever tried in my hair. And it's all, again, rigorously lab tested, and the standards for formulation are incredible. But they have the deep hydration, the regular hydration, and I actually wind up getting the hair mask, and we use that because I do use a lot of conditioner on my hair. So I find
Hmm.
that the longevity of that big tub lasts a long time. And I'm telling you, like, all four, myself and my three kids, we all use it. My daughter took it to
Hmm.
school. So hands down, awesome.
Love
So,
that.
yep. And then the hair serum, wonderful, absolutely wonderful. And I actually had a bottle that I got 420 last year, and I still have it, and I have this much left, and I will be buying more.
Well, I think with 420 coming up too, like we're gonna have like huge sales. And if you're curious about just trying something, this would be the time to do it, right?
Mhm.
When's this? Yeah. So when are we going to release that information, Erin? Is are you okay?
Sorry, guys. I'm really sorry. I thought I could get through this without
The laryngitis. I know.
Friday. Friday.
Friday. Okay, Friday.
Be on the lookout. Great sale coming up. You do not want to miss it. And there's a 60-day empty bottle money back guarantee on everything. So you have the opportunity to get
Super
your product
important, guys. 60-day.
60 days.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Yep. So if you have any interest in anything, please reach out to us ahead of time so we can
Yeah.
guide you, get you ready to be able to take advantage of this phenomenal sale. And we do it because we want to get it into the hands of as many people as we
Right.
can, because we believe in it 100%.
Absolutely.
And we want you to benefit and integrate this into your wellness routine the way that you need to.
I'm so excited about the shampoo. Mine's coming, and I'm really excited because I've heard of, like, I think I personally have talked to at least a dozen people who use that product alone, and it's made such a difference. And I'm so excited to have that one. So stay tuned for my testimonial.
Yep.
Yeah, love that.
And we do have
Love that.
we have a great testimonial group. So the Lifestyle Lounge, lots of testimonials. So we can add you to that so you can read about how this product has affected other people, because everything for me, it resonated when I got in there and saw things. A lot of it resonated with my journey, and I was able to use that as a guiding resource aside from, not only my holistic doctor, but people that had been using it longer than I had.
Well, this session has been absolutely amazing, and I hope everybody has learned. And I always say, maybe there's some things you already know about, CBD or the plant, but if you're coming away with validation, but you're also taking at least one thing that you didn't know, to me, that's building knowledge, and knowledge is power. So I so appreciate you coming on and not only helping me through the process too, but I'm really excited. So stay tuned, guys, too. And feel free to reach out to either one of us if you have any questions, but I'll be posting some more information throughout the week about the sale coming up. And between now and then, if you have any issues or questions, don't just reach out and message either one of us, Erin or I. So we'd be glad to help you, point you in the right direction too. So is there anything else you want to go over, Erin? I've been super excited. I think this was wonderful. I think it's going to be so beneficial for people to understand and kind of dispel all the myths. And this was excellent. So thank you so much for being on here for me.
Thanks for having me. I'm really glad we got to do this.
I think it was awesome. Guys, stay tuned for some more this week. But again, thanks, Erin. And you guys have a great rest of the evening.